It's Craig.
Every week we gotta like
You have to
acknowledge
acknowledge
Craig. All right, welcome back. D&D Rules, Jewels, D&D Schools. Another week, 11th week. I'm honestly surprised, but here we are. I'm surprised every week. I'm like, we're doing this again. It's incredible. Season 2, 10 episodes is one season.
That's a short season.
That's a short season. Well, hey, the new Dota Dragon's Blood show is only 8 episodes every season, so we're doing all right.
That's true, but it takes way more time to produce one episode than it does for us. So
fair enough. Yeah, all 10 of our episodes is less than one.
Yeah.
Let's talk about today tools, online tools, virtual tabletops, websites that are useful for DMing or for players alike. I guess I skipped Eric,
Isaac,
and Joe.
Just like always. Nobody else here but us.
and Craig.
And Craig, of course, always.
Craig, man, damn.
Craig listeing to our
Craig's over here
conversations.
crying, and you're just going on.
I know. I'm sorry, Craig. So where do we want to start? We want to start with. I feel like what you have to start with is not the granddaddy, but the big daddy, D&D Beyond. The most costly of all the options.
It might be the most costly, but it's worth it. It's the best.
It used to not be the best.
Great.
D&D Beyond.
I never used it back when everyone said it was terrible, and I never used it then. I've only used it.
It was pretty bad. It used to not be good.
So we started using it here recently, and when I say recently, in the past
year. I will say, we're about to praise D&D Beyond for a little while. Their app still sucks.
You don't like the app?
Nope, I think it's garbage.
Whoa,
it does.
This is what we're here for. What doesn't it do for you?
It doesn't
like
do anything. Yeah, the iPhone app. Yeah,
I try to use it. The phone app does suck.
I'm sure the Android app's exactly the same.
What are your problems with the app?
The interface sucks. Like, it's so hard to figure stuff out.
You want to know what my problem with it is? UX design. Hire some of them. They're good. It is like, I think it's terrible.
Huh. I don't have a problem with it. Is it the character sheet, or is it like
the character sheet's not that good? The menus aren't that intuitive. It doesn't have the features that the website has entirely. It's like a trimmed down version of the website for your phone, but just with bad UI. I feel like phone UI design and web UI design are different, and it feels like they went
copy paste.
Hey, website designer, you think you could just slap this website on a phone and call it an app? Like, is the app actually an app, or does it just open a web page? That's what I want to know. Some apps are that. They're just web apps.
It's an actual app. There are some things that it does actually open the D&D Beyond web page for. Like, if you were to edit or level your character, then it just opens up your D&D Beyond page.
Just do that client side. Do it client side, because
do that in the app.
Because processors and phones are fast enough for this. I don't want to get into tech because this isn't a tech podcast, but phone processors are definitely fast enough to level up your character and send that data back to the servers.
No, I don't. Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's a speed problem. It's whenever you go, I'm going to level up. It takes you because they just don't have an interface for it, essentially.
Yeah,
because I don't know why, but they don't.
It blows my mind that they don't have an interface for it yet.
I think
it is around for so long, and they're like every Critical Role uses them. Like, everyone uses.
Yeah, I think
that is the weirdest thing about the app for me is whenever you have to go into edit or level a character, it just takes you to the website.
Considering the cost of D&D Beyond, the app should be better. That's my only complaint is the app. Otherwise,
use the app constantly.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I don't ever need the app when I'm playing because I play at my desktop and I have multiple screens.
This may be different for me than it is for you guys because I don't know how the book sharing affects the app.
Yeah.
But whenever I'm using the app all the time because I can go through you guys are on camera with me, but I can go through.
I haven't used it in a while.
Go to this and I can look at spells. I can search. I can then filter all the spells by class, level, casting. I can, like, all the filters. And then I can also search. So if I'm looking for a spell, it's great. If I want to look at, this is what I mostly use it for, are monsters and classes. I can scroll through here, click any class, and then look at the subclasses and read them, and then click on a subclass, and it tells me what those things are at those levels, right? So it's very handy for me. I don't know if you guys get all those because I own all the source books. I don't know if you get them through our game or not.
I haven't used the app in a little while because it was so hot garbage when I used it like a year and a half ago that I haven't touched it since.
Yeah.
And also, like, I have multiple screens. If I want to look something up on D&D Beyond while we're playing, I can really easily just like.
Oh yeah, I don't use it while we're playing. I just use the website while we're playing.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Like, while if I'm in the other room or like sitting on the couch, laying in bed, and I'm like, I wonder if I just get a weird thought about some like multi-class situation or subclass, I can just quickly look it up on my phone without having.
Well, Isaac, I don't have a wife and kids, so I'm sitting at my computer most of the time. Anytime I think I've got a weird idea, I have this iPad Pro, which has a full web browser, and I don't have to use the crap app, or I am sitting at my desktop and I can just look it up.
Okay, that's fine. I don't think the app is terrible. I don't think it's as good as the website, but I don't think it's terrible.
Yeah, on the internet, on the website, it is incredible.
It's very good. It's the most comprehensive one if you have the dosh to spend.
Yeah, it's not even how much. Why do you think it's more expensive? Just because there's a monthly subscription for like getting extra amounts of characters? Because you can get the books and have all the resources as if you were buying them in a store, and it's the same amount of money. You just have a digital version instead of a physical copy.
Yeah, I think that. I think that the digital copy should be cheaper than the physical copy because it is cheaper to distribute. If I'm buying a physical copy of a book, I understand why it's $50. Not only did you have to write it and edit and do all that stuff, that's a vast majority of the cost, but there's a material cost, as in I'm manufacturing this book and I'm shipping the logistical cost. $50? Sure. That Spelljammer set I just bought for $75? Sure. It's a 3-book set. It has a giant poster of the world. It has a DM screen. It's a beautifully designed holographic set. It's freaking sweet. Totally worth $75. If I had to spend $75 to get a PDF document of the same thing, I'd be a little miffed.
Yeah, that's something I find a little strange. I think like if you go out and buy a physical copy of it, it should just come with like, okay, you get it in D&D Beyond because you bought the.
Or copy. Type in your ISBN.
That may be something that they. I mean, that's the top request that they've had forever, and now that Wizards bought them, there's like rumblings of maybe that's gonna. I mean, I kind of doubt that it will because it's a revenue source.
It's like a double revenue source.
Maybe the plus side to having digital copies though is Command F, Control F. It's
that's totally the benefit. But you're buying them, so I don't have to.
It's very true.
Even though I did buy this one. So did you spend $75 on it?
No, I mean, it was, first off, I have like the source book collection.
Well, no, thing. I mean, on Spelljammer, did it cost?
No, it wasn't 75. But first off, so I'm saying first off, I have the source book collector edition thing, which gives me like, I don't remember what it is, 10-20% off any source book that comes out. I automatically get a percentage off.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then it also wasn't 75 to start with because it wasn't a collector's edition. Obviously, it's just a regular.
Yeah.
So I think it was 40 or 45.
If I was really super determined to use Control F and not spend money on D&D Beyond, I could just scan my books.
It's true.
But I'm not that determined.
You can cheat and wait around until somebody releases it online. Anyway,
that's pirating, and we don't endorse that.
Yar.
Even though it is a pirate campaign.
But you know, some people, if you can't afford it and that's the only way you can get it, I'm not going to judge you.
No, me neither. But anyways,
the features, cool things, the best, the thing that I was like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Is once you have even if you don't have it, but once you have all the source material, the magic items, the subclasses and stuff, it just throws it on your character sheet and it shows you exactly what to roll. It's like it does all the math, most of the math for you, and it's great. It gives you the charges of things you have, so you can keep track of what you've cast without having to like erase through a physical page and eventually get a hole in it.
I do find that those boxes that check that like, oh, short rest, click it.
Yeah.
There is still some interface issues with those even now where like it won't update and you have to refresh the page.
Yeah, I have an issue with my Saturn's thing where he goes. God, why can't I remember?
Form of Dread.
Form of Dread. Yeah, it won't let me click the box and check that I've used one of them.
Yeah, it won't let me.
I have to go to a different part of it and click on it, and then go back, and then it'll show that it's clicked.
On mine, I have to click it. It will open a sub menu. I can click it in there, then close the sub menu, then refresh the page, and then it'll show up. So I just don't bother. I just remember.
That is weird. But that aspect of it is very cool for me. I haven't had that issue that you guys are having. And then beyond that, the thing that I've sort of recently got into and really love about D&D Beyond is the homebrew stuff.
Yeah,
you can make subclasses and items, and it's pretty comprehensive. It can't, or at least I haven't figured out how to basically code everything. Yeah, and the interface is a little lackluster, but it kind of is lackluster because there's so much you can do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really cool how
that's super awesome about D&D Beyond, and the fact that you can go and look at other people's homebrews and get ideas, or just use their homebrews and put them in, and you don't have to do
that. Was a good thing that they added.
Copy and pasted it in there.
Yeah, allowing the homebrew stuff was really nice. And I have another homebrew tool that I'm gonna bring up later, but it is, honestly, it's an extremely comprehensive site. It's just I'm nitpicking a little more because of the cost. If it was free, I wouldn't I'd be like, oh, okay, the menu doesn't work. They're working on that. But it's not free. And it's like I'm not paying for it. You're paying for it for our campaign. But at the end of the day, someone's paying for it.
Yeah.
And like I expect features to work more often than not when it's a paid service.
Yeah, that's fair. It does have, does have a few problems, but
it is great.
Overall, it's very good.
It's very, very good. The character sheet stuff is great. And like before D&D Beyond, I actually followed a guy on Patreon called, I'm sure he's still around, More Purple, More Better. And he had a PDF character sheet that you could download. They told him to take it down, but he just has a community that updates it on their own. And then, it's community. He's not doing it. And you would load the book's data into the PDF, and it would autofill and autocorrect everything you did. It was amazing. It was such an amazing tool back then.
When I first rolled Rook.
When you first, yeah. It's an awesome.
It was really nice, but I've used it, and D&D Beyond is way better.
D&D Beyond is better now, but when that came out, D&D Beyond was not.
I don't even know if D&D Beyond was a thing.
Was around when that thing came out. Yeah. It was an incredible tool.
They were like, oh, that's a great idea. We'll take that. Thanks.
We'll take that whole thing and charge $9 a month for it. Or whatever it is. How much is it a month? You're the one paying for it. I've never looked.
I don't remember because it's a yearly thing.
Oh, you're paying for like a yearly instead of a monthly plan?
Okay, yeah, I pay it yearly, but it's only $6 a month for the master one, which is the top end.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's $3 a month.
I'm getting tired of subscriptions.
Yeah, it is a bit of a bummer.
It's getting out of hand. But I understand.
Making unlimited characters for $3 a month. Otherwise, you get I think 6 or something.
Yeah, I recently had to go in and delete a couple of my old characters from other campaigns. But honestly, it's an extremely comprehensive tool. If you have the money to spend on it, and you were only going to buy one thing for D&D Beyond, that's it. Yeah, you spend your money on D&D Beyond, because as much as me personally, I have copies of not all the books, but most of the books. That's like a personal thing. I just like having the book. But if my campaign is mostly online, or I have an iPad or something like that, I would have just bought them all on D&D Beyond from the beginning. Well, not from the beginning, because it wasn't around when I started playing 5e. But if I were starting right now, I don't know that I'd buy physical copies. I'd buy just the digital copies and keep them on my computer or a laptop or whatever. Yeah. That way I can access them and view them at all times. The only thing I'm ever kind of worried about with stuff like D&D Beyond is if I stop paying, do I lose access to my stuff? You know what I mean?
No, you keep. I mean, you keep any of your books. If you stop paying, I don't know how they deal with if you're over the character limit.
They just tax your characters to like lock them.
Yeah,
I don't know how that works with the characters, but everything else is like doesn't really do anything. Really, the $3
and like
per month is just for the unlimited characters. Like there's other stuff that you get, but
if the service goes down in a couple of years, do you lose everything you paid for? That kind of stuff. It's what I'm worried about.
But now that they're owned by Wizards, that's less of a concern.
That is true. I'm really hoping you can't hear that cat in the background.
We can.
I can.
Fantastic.
I missed it, but it's okay.
I saw it light up. Bastard cat. Anyways, so yeah, D&D Beyond, character sheets, great. Rules and content, great, it's on there. Homebrew stuff, program it in, it's great. It functions well. It integrates into the character sheet. It is just comprehensively the best tool for, if you're only going to use one tool, for DMs and players. It's very, very, very good.
And cost-wise, if you have a group of people you know you're going to be playing a lot, everyone pitches in to buy different books, helps out cover that.
Yep.
So
your werewolf form is a homebrew.
Is a homebrew item. Yeah, that's what you're saying. Yeah, it works great. I walk in, I equip it, and then I have it, and it's nice. It's really nice just to have it. But anyways, I don't want to stick on D&D Beyond too much because that's the one everyone knows about.
And now everyone knows a little bit more about it, or they just heard us talk about the things they already know about it.
Exactly. So what do we want to talk about next? We want to talk about random online tools, or we want to talk about virtual tabletops next?
We can touch on some VTTs.
All right. I will talk about...
I've only used a couple, so...
I have used Roll20.
Roll20.
I've used Tailspire, and I've used the other one that I can't remember the name of because I didn't like it very much. Fantasy Grounds, the one you buy on Steam, which you have to buy the rule books for in the thing. I only used that one briefly. I don't have much to say about it. It's whatever. It's nice.
I did not like Fantasy Grounds at all.
Okay, there you go.
It just was not... Roll20 was free, and it was better.
I think Fantasy Ground... I don't want to comment on Fantasy Grounds too much. I don't know a lot about it. If you're out there and you know stuff about it, let us know in the comments. But Roll20, I have used quite a bit. And what is there to say about Roll20?
Here's the thing with Roll20. It is more of a one-stop shop than, say, because what we use in our campaigns is D&D Beyond plus Tailspire.
Yeah.
Roll20 is a one-stop shop for both because you don't have to. You can buy books within Roll20.
Yeah.
And then your virtual tabletop's already in there. It's all integrated, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
The downside of Roll20 is it looks not nearly as good as Tailspire, obviously, because it's a 2D, it's a top-down map thing.
Mm-hmm.
There are pluses to that because a lot of the maps that you buy from the books and stuff
are
just
there.
Straight in.
Yeah.
So it's like easier as far as that.
Less setup.
Which is fine for if you only view combat as tactical, then great. That's going to work well for you. But it looks not great, and it does have some like weird problems with like drawing on the maps. If too many people are drawing on it, it can mess up.
You're better to talk about this because I've never DM'd on Roll20. I've only ever played as a player.
The homebrew stuff, not even I would say not even a tenth of as comprehensive as D&D Beyond's homebrew stuff.
Yeah,
unless they've changed it since I stopped playing it.
It's been a while. We haven't been using it in a couple of years.
Yeah, but it's not even close. The creating character sheets and leveling, not as good as D&D Beyond.
No, not even close.
Yeah.
I honestly never used.
I think I think when we used Roll20,
I used a sheet because
I had a
the
physical
Roll20 stuff was just not good.
Yeah,
for me.
It's not great. It's okay, and if you're a first time player and someone has like, because you don't have to buy Roll20 to play, which you do if you're getting Tailspire or Fantasy Grounds. Mm-hmm. So if you're a first time player and then your DM's like, yeah, I've got Roll20, you can just join in. Cool, you can. It's easy to get into. And your DM can help you out with any like buttons to click and stuff. But it doesn't once you sort of know what's going on, once you realize what's happening, it's not great. It's okay. It's okay.
It sucks
that you have to. It sucks that you it sucks that I bought some of the books there, and then we moved to D&D Beyond, and I had to buy them again.
Yeah,
but
so that
in
sucks.
the end,
But I didn't have very many.
That's another one of those things where it's like if you buy it in one spot, you should just have it in every spot.
As it,
like, I paid you, wizards. I paid you for the book. Let me have the book.
That's the physical copy thing.
That's kind of another plus for D&D Beyond is that, like, you can use that. You can look at that book anywhere. If you have it in Roll20, you kind of have to read it in their clunky.
Yeah, their interface is not as nice as D&D Beyond.
Yeah, not even close.
And that like, as cool of a feature as like the shadow the map so that your characters can only see so much of it sounds, in practice it never worked. It doesn't look that good. It didn't seem to work that good.
Yeah, it was and making it to where it actually functions at all. Like, because you have to go in and draw these boxes in a separate layer, and that's a pain. And then if you want it to be perfect, to like, oh, there's a tree here, but I don't want to block out the entire square because there's room around the tree. If you like go and make all the way like precisely around the tree, it starts to become too many lines, and then it gets super way more laggy than it should be.
Then if you have people like me and Brian, where we pick up our minis and move them around all the time, in Roll20, it just like ruin everything. It's like, oh, sorry.
So it's really strange how unoptimized it is.
Yeah, it's something that we left basically as soon as we could.
Yeah. And I think that transitions very nicely into our VTT of choice, which is Tailspire. I love Tailspire. Tailspire is still in early access. We got into the closed beta by backing it on Kickstarter, but it is available to everyone now. The drawback is obviously everybody has to own a copy. So everyone in your group will have to spend $30 on it.
It does go on sale. You can catch
it does go on sale. Yeah. Steam sales, stuff like that.
100% worth it though. It is
100% worth it.
It is awesome. It's so great to be able to visually see everything in 3D and not
there is I would say the best thing about it is one, it looks incredible. But the number one thing about it is the community behind it. Any feature that it doesn't have, you can usually find someone who's built a mod for it because the developers are really open about supporting mods. They have integration with Hero Forge, so you can import custom character models now. The new morph feature that they added that allows the models to morph in between different shapes. That's super awesome. There's things I'd like them to add, of course, but overall, like, line of sight works. If something's not in your line of sight, you cannot see the mini in 3D space. Most of the time. Not always, but it's pretty good. And then if you're looking for maps, because I'm not going to lie, building the maps takes a very long time.
If you want it to look really nice, it's going to take forever.
Yes. I have built a few very large things right when it came out. And like, you can get the basic shape in the buildings decently quick, but then if you want it to look good and you're like placing props and stuff around, that takes forever. You want every little table to have like little knives and stuff sitting all over it, and it's like
even more time when you're like doing something at one angle and then you move your camera and everything's on a wrong plane and you're like,
I never had that problem. I knew right away. Like, I've used 3D software before. I was gonna make sure. The community for mods is great. If you're running official like stuff, there is people who have Patreons. There's open stuff where it's like, here's every map from Curse of Strahd built in Tailspire, and it's super awesome. I watched a video of a guy who he has a Patreon where that's all he does. He just makes the maps for official games, and he paid a developer to make a mod for him, which he released, that allows you to load a flat map so you can build the map from the base map.
Pretty cool.
And it's super awesome that you can do this stuff, and that it's all like not officially supported by the developer, but that you can do it at all, that they're allowing it. And you can get, we use D&D Beyond, and we use a web extension, a Chrome web extension, which I guess you don't have to worry about that anymore because every browser besides Firefox and Opera is based on Chrome. So whether you're using Chrome, Vivaldi, or the new, whatever the new Microsoft one is, Edge, they're all Chrome based. So you go to the Chrome Web Store and you can pick up a web browser add-on called Beyond the Spire, yeah, which will allow you to click your stats in D&D Beyond and send the roll to Tailspire to roll the dice in the game. Now, the drawback is, and some of the people that watch our streams, they like, it does not contain any rules. It is only for tabletops. You can roll dice, you can put your minis down, move your minis around, have a map. It all looks great, different maps for different things, but it doesn't have any rules for 5e. It doesn't have any rules for anything. No rule books in it. It is just a tabletop.
With any systems at all.
Yeah, it's just a tabletop. I personally think that's better because I'm not tying everything to one app. Right? Like, I own this thing. I can do whatever I want with it. If later on we switch to Traveler, if later on we decide to play Pathfinder, or if later on we decide to play 3.5 for whatever reason, it still functions.
Yeah,
right?
I would like to see, and this is something that they've talked about, but again,
it's a small team. It's a small team.
Yeah, is an integration with D&D Beyond, and they've talked about it, but they're like, they're big, we're little, we don't know if that's going to happen. But we know about it. We know that you want it. We're looking into it.
Yep. A good intermediary, though, is apps like that Chrome extension, Beyond the Spire, which totally, absolutely makes it work flawlessly. Use it every week. It's awesome. I friggin' love Tailspire. And that's my recommendation. If someone says, we're going to start playing online, do you have a recommendation? I'm like, everyone just get your books on D&D Beyond and get Tailspire, because it's far prettier to look at. It's far more entertaining to use. It's just better in every way. Measurement tools, every tool that you need to play on a tabletop is built in.
Well, there's some exceptions, but it's still in early access.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about the cons of Tailspire, which are, it can be a little taxing on your system if it's a big map with, and some of the props are more lag inducing than others.
Yeah.
So you can have some problems with lag.
Having tons of objects.
Yeah.
Stuff with light. The torches and stuff. Bad. But even just like a map that has a ton of detail and a ton of objects. That being said, the builders on the communities on websites like Tales Bazaar, and which one do you use?
Tales
Tavern, which are map congregate websites where builders put their maps up for you to get for free, which is super awesome because they're amazing.
Gengus's maps.
Genghis, the king of Tailspire maps. A lot of them, when it first started and they first allowed clipping of objects, people went nuts and they built awesome stuff. But now, further on down the line, they've gotten better at optimizing shapes. They don't just fill it up. They're trying to use as few objects as possible to make it as accessible as possible to as many machines as possible. And honestly, like, your machine's pretty old and you don't have a ton of problems with it, right?
I don't. Just occasionally, again, like the map that I just made with all those crystals. Crystals, that was, my computer didn't really like that, so we won't be revisiting that probably.
Yeah, my computer didn't like that. My computer's pretty new.
Let's see other potential cons. The mod thing is cool. You can do that. The downside is, of course, that everyone in your party has to have the same mod.
Except for, I want to clarify that Beyond the Spire is it standalone. Yeah,
Beyond the Spire is not a Tailspire mod. It is a web browser mod.
Yeah, exactly. That just launches an app. So if you have the app open, it just works. That's not. But yes, if you're using another mod, everyone in the group has to have the mod installed and set up. And I can see how that would be a pain depending on how technically adept your players are.
Yeah, there are some another couple bugs with like too many dice being on the field. Sometimes will if you try to clear them, it will crash. At least on Michael's computer.
Sometimes you just get stuck sideways.
Yeah,
that's happened once.
There are some strange non-game breaking bugs that are just odd. And then the one big thing that I think it's missing, that they just posted an update that they are working on, so maybe come out later this month even, is being able to put AoE things down and then leave them there and do other things.
For
They are
things
working
like,
on that right now.
Yeah, Cloud of Daggers or Mist or Entangle or something like
currently
that.
The measurement tools, you can measure something, but then if you go to do anything else, the measurement disappears. But they are working on a way to keep those measurements in.
Yeah, Wall of Fire. That would be really awesome if they fix.
Really awesome.
Yeah, I mean, like, none of these cons we're talking about are deal breakers, obviously, because we use it every week.
Yep.
And there are ways around it. You could just
you can just throw stuff down,
props.
throw props down and stuff, but it takes a little longer. It's just going to be very nice when you can measured it there. That's where it is.
Honestly, I think if you use Tailspire in an in-person game, if you had like a big iPad or something,
or a screen in your table,
that would be a really cool way to use Tailspire.
Yeah, I have a friend who built a gaming table with a screen with he bought a 50-inch TV to put in the middle of it, and that's a really I don't know, I haven't played at the table because I stopped playing with that group, but that would be a really cool use. I think it could still be used in person, because as much as me personally likes building and painting miniatures and I know how to build custom terrain and stuff like that. There's the problem of like, where am I storing all this custom terrain?
Yeah.
If I'm not playing it
on that Dwarven Forge.
Yeah, oh yeah. Don't. Well, Dwarven Forge is great, but it's very expensive. You can build your own a lot cheaper. 3D printing stuff is also a viable option if you have that capability. But like if you're not playing at my house and we want to use terrain or whatever that I've built for the campaign, is my DM going to want to store that at his house? Is there space to store that at their place? There's logistical problems. So I think even in person, like a virtual tabletop like Tailspire could be very good.
Yep.
If you don't want to use dry erase maps, which I have used for years, where it's like a grid that you roll out and you write on it with your wet erase markers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, here's the wall. I draw a wall.
Yeah.
There's some rocks over here. I'm going to circle there and circle there. All right.
Yeah. All right. There. You can hide behind
What were those circles? Those were the rocks, right?
Yeah. Use a little artistic vision.
So overall, 2 thumbs up for Tailspire.
2 thumbs up, Tailspire. That's our recommendation. Virtual tabletop, Tailspire.
I really think the best thing about it is that there's a community that's making really good maps.
Yeah. If there wasn't that, I probably wouldn't. I would still like it a lot. It just would be so much more setup time. It would be unfeasible for most people.
That's the nice thing about D&D Beyond too, is the community with all the homebrew stuff.
Community stuff really
unlimited amount of ideas that you could find on D&D Beyond.
And since we're talking about
through there
community and homebrew stuff, I suppose that goes to some other websites that I'm going to talk about, which are.
I did want to touch real quick before you.
Oh, okay, yep. Go ahead.
I did want to mention the what's it called? Foundry. There's another virtual tabletop that I know nothing about, but it is a prominent one. And then what's the other one? Tabletop Simulator, which I don't think anyone really uses anymore.
Okay, tabletop. We'll cover Tabletop Simulator real quick. I have used Tabletop Simulator.
Giant hunk of shit.
Okay. I have used Tabletop Simulator, but not for D&D. I've used it for Warhammer 40K, playing Warhammer 40K in the traditional way online. I know this isn't a Warhammer podcast. Great use for that. But I would not want to use it as a D&D thing. It has minis. You can place them. It looks like a table. I've even used it with a VR headset, but it's just like, it's not that good. I'm not recommending that at all.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure we mentioned, because those are other big ones that may come out if someone's looking. And I don't know anything about.
I don't know anything about Foundry. In fact, I'd never even heard of it until you just brought it up.
Okay.
Homebrew content. Let's talk about homebrew websites.
Okay.
There are community websites like DriveThruRPG, which is a frankly incredible resource for homebrewed adventures, homebrewed character classes. Some of them you do have to pay for, and some of them are like you can have it for free or you can choose to pay for them. I have found some amazing one-shots and things like that on DriveThruRPG, where like people are like putting significant amount of effort into campaigns and settings and expanding on official settings and expanding on character classes and all kinds of things. Like Wizards releases a Unearthed Arcana, and one of the classes don't make it into the official book. But you can probably find someone on Drive Through RPG who has taken the idea and like expanded it into a full playable subclass, which is
Really
super
fleshed it
awesome.
out.
Yeah, really fleshed it out, and it's really awesome. Now, I mean, as with any homebrew content, read over it, read the comments on it. If it's a more popular one, that's a great way to
Check with your
determine.
DMs, make sure
Yes.
they're okay with having it in the game. Don't get all excited about making this character, and then your DM goes, no, that'll break it.
Yeah, because definitely some of the stuff is like, this is broken and imbalanced. But a lot of the times you can weed that stuff out.
Eric's Sword Mage, check it out. It was
it was freaking awesome. I will say, every time I've played an OP subclass in every campaign I've been in, I handed the rules to the DM, and they either didn't read it at all and said okay, or
I think the issue
enough.
is whenever you handed it to him, you went, "I have diabolical plans," and they were like, "I can't see that just by reading this."
Read it a little closer. Turns out I can do anything I want.
You see this really fine print here? It just says, I win.
I win. Yeah, right there. Yep, you missed that part. Therefore, I win. Now, aside from community stuff like Drive Through RPG, there is also, if you're interested in creating exceptionally professional looking homebrew content. I remember when this stuff first started popping up where it was like, oh man, this homebrew looks like official content. It looks like real Wizards official book content that's been scanned. And I'm sure in the early days when I first started seeing it, it was people putting in a ton of effort in Photoshop to make it work. But now there is a very awesome resource called the Homebrewery that is frankly incredible. It formats the stuff. You can take a homebrew class and make an official looking PDF out of it. Like make it look like Wizards made it. Fonts are right, background colors are right. Put in your own artwork, commission artwork, whatever you're going to do. But you can use this tool to script and make a frankly incredible looking homebrew content look wise. That would be, I mean, I've only used it briefly, but it was very nice, very, very nice, very feature rich. Maybe a little bit of a steep learning curve in the very beginning, but if you're looking to make homebrew content, aside from just the writing part of it, you want to make it look good and distribute it, that is a great tool for that. You guys have any comments on that?
Nope, I never look at it.
Okay, you probably won't.
I mean, I've seen stuff made by it, and I'm like, oh, that looks just like
the real stuff. Yeah. It doesn't really apply to us anymore. That's the thing. Some of these tools I'm going to talk about are tools that I used before D&D Beyond, but I do think that some of them still have use.
Sure.
And since you guys don't really have any comments on that homebrew stuff, we can move on.
Yeah, it's I mean, the only reason I don't is because it's all
built into D&D Beyond and stuff.
Yeah,
now.
It's all built in digitally, and if it was something I was going to print out, then yeah,
for your group, yeah. If you were going to print it out and have it for your group, like that Sword Mage class that Joe talked about a minute ago, they used Homebrewery. It looked absolutely incredible. I printed it all out in color, and it looked really super official. So, if you're playing in person, which I wish to one day do again, it's very nice. Very, very nice. But we can move on from that pretty quick because you guys don't really have any opinions.
We can talk about the greatest way to help you min-max your characters whenever you're creating them. RPG Bot, baby.
Oh, RPGbot.net. I love RPGbot.net. He's great on Twitter.
Pretty awesome if you're looking to make your class as strong as the class can possibly be, because they really do nail down everything and explain why everything is either better or worse than other things.
If you want to be a lazy min-maxer, RPGbot is just the best source ever. Their website's a little old looking. From what I understand, they are like working on a newer website, but I remember loading it right after it launched and it wasn't quite done. And I mean, yeah, the website looks a little like old.
GeoCities.
It's not it's not GeoCities bad, but it's not like great. But it is an awesome freaking resource. It's all color coded, so you can know at a glance what's good and what's bad. There's subclass breakdowns, there's spell breakdowns. It is a extremely comprehensive. Now, it doesn't have any official rules. They'll say what spells are good and bad, but you will have to look them up and see what they do. It'll just say like, this is good for this reason. This is bad because of this. This is why this doesn't work very well because of the action economy, or this is why it is just an amazing character creation resource. And
this, it's similar to like Icy Veins or a Max Roll for computer game type things.
Yeah, kind of worse interface. But
yeah, Icy Veins, that's a good one to
yeah. Only obviously because Wizards will hunt you down with their lawyers. There is no official, like, he doesn't have the rules listed when it's a subclass breakdown, and he'll give, usually, like, if you're like looking at barbarian breakdown, you'll and then at the bottom it'll be like, here's an example optimized build, and you can either just run with that or make decisions based on the color coding. And go ahead.
I was going to say that, and the downside of any min-maxing is that if your DM doesn't like it, they're going to find a way to nerf it in one way or another.
I don't think
very good for theory crafting.
I don't think that RPG Bot is necessarily the kind of min-maxing that sometimes I do, where I'm trying to break the game. It is just like, hey, here's the spells you could choose as a sorcerer. Out of these first level spells, here's which ones are kind of garbage, and here's which ones are good, and here's which ones are not good.
Here's the best ones that are going to work with meta magic type of thing.
Yeah. It is like, he's not trying to break the game. He's just trying to explain, like, this is why this is a very good choice.
Okay.
Like at 9th level spells, when you get to 9th level spells on any of them, it basically says only one of these spells is the best spell, and it's Wish. The other ones are good, but you'd be dumb not to take Wish if you can.
Yeah,
things like that.
Wish can be any other 9th level spell. So.
Yeah. So anyways, it's just an amazing resource. There are other resources. Giant in the Playground, which is a like forum for tabletop role playing. Some people do breakdowns similar to RPG Bot. You got to find them, you got to dig. It's like an old style, back in the day forum. It's an incredible resource. You just have to dig. That's all it is. There's a search function, but like, you're going to be looking at a lot of different threads going, is this okay? Oh, okay. This is the person who's doing this well. Whereas like, if you're willing to dig, that's awesome. But if you just want at a quick glance, what's going to be good, rpgbot.net, amazing. And I'm glad you brought that up because I forgot to write that one down. But I literally, every time I make a character, I open rpgbot.net and look.
Okay.
amazing resource. I'm so glad you brought that up. Yeah, that's incredible. rpgbot.net, 10 out of 10. Check it out. Follow them on Twitter.
9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 for interface.
5 out of 10 for interface.
Okay.
But yeah, very good. Quite a few ads these days, but I understand cost of running the website and everything. If you're really just like a salty boy, you can load up your ad block. Anyways,
5e Tools.
5e Tools, yep. Good. I was going to bring that one up. That's on my list. 5e Tools is a very good resource. I haven't used 5e Tools as much as the other one I want to talk about, but 5e Tools is very, very good. If there's anything else you want to say about 5e Tools,
I was just going to say I've used it a few. I haven't used it a ton, but I've used it a few times for scaling up monsters.
Yeah, that is a really awesome feature of that one,
which is pretty nice. It's if you get too far away from this, like, because you scale them up by CR. If you get too far away from the original CR, it starts to not work like you would want it to. But it's very good for, like, I wish this was just a little bit stronger. You can bump it up a CR and
1 or 2 stats. CR and be all right.
Yep.
The tool I used to use absolutely the most.
John,
Don John. Yeah, you got it.
John.
Yeah.
Don John. Don John has a tool for everything. You want a random encounter, baby? They got it. Random encounter based on your group's makeup and levels? They got it. You want a
And you can
random weather
scale it.
generator? You can scale it. You want a random weather generator? It's there, baby. You want magic weather or normal weather? Turn it on or off. Incredible. They have a tool for everything. Don John is
Need some name generators. You need to know what's on the menu at a certain tavern.
Yeah. You want to generate some inventory for the local stores?
Yeah.
It's got you covered, baby. Don John is, I think, one of the older ones. It's been around since I've been using computers in D. I can't remember when I used computers to look up rules, and Don John hasn't been around. I don't know exactly when it was founded, but been around forever. They've got 3.5 rules. They've got 5e rules. They've got Pathfinder stuff. They've got generators from multiple things. You could generate a whole freaking character. You can generate NPCs. You can generate enemies. They have built-in enemies. They have CR. I want to combat that CR5 and has 5 monsters. Bam, it spits out one. And a lot of the times, like when I would DM, it didn't even matter. I want 5 guards that are CR1. It pops them up, or I want this kind of encounter. And even if it shoots me skeletons, I can just go, these are guards. and it works. And it's not always perfectly balanced, but it's 90%, right? Like it's 80 to 90% of the way there.
Yeah, if it's one of those things where if you're an experienced DM, then you'll know when it's not balanced, and if you're not, you'll learn.
Yeah, you'll learn.
But that's the main things I use Don John for. Is I still use the encounter size table, which is so good. I look at that thing all the time, and then it's not entirely accurate, but what you'll figure out where those boundaries are, and you can set the number of characters, what level they are, and it will spit out a table that says they can take this many of this CR monster, this many of this CR monster, and all the way down. I use it for that, and then I also use it when I am when I'm starting a campaign and building a world. I use their map generator, which can be found. I think it can be found elsewhere as well. That particular map generator, but it's very nice.
They also have downloadable map generators. Did you know that?
I did not.
They have one that will generate random dungeons, full fractal world maps.
That's the one. The world maps is what I was. Yeah, that's what I use.
The ability score generators. It is just I have nothing but good things to say about Don John.
What's amazing is it's so good, and it's not completely bogged down by bad interface ads.
Yeah, they have one little link hey, do you want to donate some money to help this work? Oh, look, I haven't been to this site in maybe a little while because I haven't DM'd in a while. Now there's a dark mode. I love it even more. If you are playing anything, if you are playing any tabletop role-playing game, you need to use Don John. It's great. I'll just quickly go down the list. Fantasy name generators, random generators, fantasy calendar, fantasy world, medieval demographics calculator. Some of this stuff is new. My random campaign based on a PDF. Okay. Random adventure, treasure map, random dungeon, endless. I don't even know what some of these do completely. Random inn, random towns. That's just fantasy. Then they've got AD&D stuff. They've got basic D20 fantasy stuff. They've got Microlight. They've got Pathfinder. They got 4E, 5E, weird fiction. Don't know what that is. Science fiction, alien RPG, literally anything you can think of. It's
within science fiction. They actually have a traveler system generator.
That's just it. Okay. Yeah. Generate a star system. Yeah, no problem, baby. Traveler system generator. This is amazing. Look, I just clicked on it. This is great. This is my number one tool. If someone says, what's a good online resource for playing tabletop role-playing games? Don John is the one I'm going to recommend, especially if they're not specifying, I'm going to play 5e, which, you can generally just guess that's what they're going to do most of the time. But I love Don John. I've used and abused Don John over the years, and it never fails me. It works in almost every situation. Top notch. It's free. If you feel like donating, donate. I've donated to him before. I freaking love Don John. Hey, Don John, hit me up for that collab. I'll shout you out in every episode.
I got one that you probably don't know about.
All right, hit me.
App.fantasy-calendar.com.
I do not know that one. App.
That is what I use for our campaign to keep track of the days.
Fantasy.
App.fantasy-calendar.com.
But if you don't want to use this, Don John has a fantasy calendar.
That's what reminded me of it, because you said fantasy calendar. I was like, oh, and because I remember I wanted to make a calendar so I could keep track of things, and I was looking through
app.fantasy-calendar.com.
Yeah.
Okay.
This one is the one that I found that I was like, oh, this does all the things that I want to do. You can set the number of days in a year, the number of days in a week, the number of days in a month. You can set like how many moons there are. You can set the phases of those moons, how often they cycle through those phases. It generates weather for you for every day, depending on what you can set the climate, and it'll generate the weather for you. You can set in holidays.
This looks
really,
very
really
comprehensive.
Great. It is a wonderful tool.
And I will say, man, this interface looks really nice. Well done to whoever did this. Oh, pricing, you have to pay? Okay.
I don't know if it's like your first one's free or whatever, but yeah,
okay. $2.49 a month if you wanted to like unlimited number of calendars. Let others create and comment on events and control the dates on the calendar. Discord integration, that's cool. Calendar linking. This is if you wanted your party to be able to
which I thought about,
interact
and
with
I was
calendar.
like, because not all the dates are hard dates, so I didn't want to be like, nope, that moved.
This looks really cool. I haven't used this.
It's really great. You can set up the events can last a week, so you can have a week that's like, this is happening during this week, and it just puts it in there for you.
This is how you have the moon phases.
Yes, this is how I have the moon phases.
Okay. I was wondering about that.
At the beginning of this thing, I was like, because before we started this campaign, Q was really into werewolves, and I was like, every now and then we'll talk about stuff, and I was like, what do you think about should do for the new campaign? She's like, there should be werewolves, and I was like, so I was like looking through different ways that I could integrate werewolf stuff into the campaign, and I was like, well, I need to be able to keep track of the phases of the moon. Maybe I can find a calendar that does that. And I was like, oh, this does it. And then I was like, oh, and I can set the phase. I can set how long the moon is.
Yeah.
This is great.
This is pretty great.
And then every time you guys go to sleep, I just advance it a day, and then it's good to go.
So actually, funnily enough, while I have never used app.fantasy-calendar.com, it must be built by the same people that make this other tool I'm going to tell you about, which is Kobold Fight Club.
Okay.
KoboldPlus.club. Go to it. It looks exactly the same. But this is a really awesome, again, Don John has a version of this built in.
Oh yeah, this is exactly the same interface, pretty much.
Yeah, this is exactly the same interface. I don't know if this is like a .io kind of thing.
Yeah, it's probably just a setting you click on.
Yeah. Anyways, this is a pretty awesome encounter maker. It'll generate encounters. You can tell it the size of your party, challenge rating thing, manage anything about a fight. And it is a very comprehensive, very nice looking tool for making encounters. This is one I actually haven't used all that much. I came across this when obviously I had a few that I have used a ton, but I researched some new ones just to have some more to talk about. And this looks very comprehensive and very, very nice. And there must be a framework that people are building off of, because this is exactly the same as Fantasy Calendar.
It even has the same favorite, the little icon for the website.
Yeah.
And the name escapes me right now.
Yeah, but I don't know what
it's a little like dragon guy with a cup or something. Both of them have the exact same thing. So
there must be, maybe it is the same people, or there is like a like a Twitch.io kind of thing. But yeah, it is very nice. It's a very nicely designed, very modern looking kind of version of what the Donjon thing is. I don't really have much more to say about this. An encounter generator is what it is. There's not a lot to say. You give it parameters, it kicks you out a encounter that you can run.
Yep.
If
also,
you're not
we'll add
confident.
that D&D Beyond also has its own encounter builder. It's not.
Is it?
It's not as it doesn't generate as much for you, but you can sort monsters by like CR and an environment and all that kind of thing.
Look, like it has,
and you can add it to it, and it'll give you an estimate of how hard it should be.
How hard it should be. Yeah. So like this, I could go. I have 5 players who are level 6. Add generic group. There we go. How should this encounter be? Easy, medium, hard, deadly? Is it random? Is it a boss? Is it a boss with minions? Duo monsters? Trio of monsters? Is it a horde? And then you just generate. I did a random, and it spit out 2 monsters that I think I could fight. And while it doesn't have the resources, you can click. It shoots out the monsters. It tells you the CR, how much XP they're worth, and then you can click. It has a link, like Mind Flayer Monster Manual, page 222. You click on it, it opens up D&D Beyond.
Hey, very nice.
Yeah, it's really nice, and you can choose like I want medium creatures, and I want them to all be beasts. And I want them to be in an Arctic environment, and they are ordinary monsters. Bam, and it filters
tiny polar bears.
It filters all the monsters. So that category I just did, medium beasts that are in the Arctic, and they're ordinary wolves.
That's about it.
That's all you got. But it's just cool that you can sort it in that way and like have quick at a glance. You could use this on a laptop or on an iPad while you're at a live table. Whereas I feel like D&D Beyond, unless everyone has an iPad or an Android tablet or a laptop, like it's D&D Beyond isn't as useful for actual tabletop role playing. But some of these tools, like this one in particular, and Donjon, could be really super useful if you're DMing a group, because you're the only person who needs to have this information. And trust me, when everyone at the table has a laptop set up, that starts to get annoying. Because people are just like watching YouTube videos instead of depends on the group.
Who would do that, Eric?
I've never heard of anyone who does that. I only do that when I'm not doing anything. When it's like, what are you doing, Eric? And I'm like, I guess I'm gonna hang out in the tower because I'm not interested in this. And then there's like a full hour of dialogue between other characters. I'm like, I'm not there. I don't need to hear this. But anyways, I think that's a freaking super awesome tool. The generation stuff has gotten better. Let's see. Oh, I know we mentioned I want to loop around one last time to Tailspire, because I forgot to mention Thunderstore.io, which is a mod repository for Tailspire, has an app that will manage your mods. It's really awesome. I just forgot to say that when we were on there. The only thing left on my list is something that you cannot use if you are live streaming your campaigns, but most people don't live stream their campaigns, so this is okay. mynoise.net. Have you ever heard of this? I'm sure you have. I'm sure I've talked about it.
It's just like plays music and stuff, I guess.
It doesn't actually play music. It's just like ambient noise generation. But instead of like going onto YouTube and typing in thunderstorm noise, and it's just like a 12-hour sound file, which totally works. If you want to do it that way, that's great. But MyNoise, I think you have to donate to get access to every feature, but you can donate as little as $1, $5, and it gives you access to everything. Of course, if you wanted to live stream with it, you'd have to contact him and pay for licensing. But it is an absolutely incredible ambient noise generator, because it's not just like, here's a thunderstorm noise. It's like, okay, I click on the thunderstorm generator. It has multiple channels, all variable volumes, and you can like turn up. I want the crickets to be louder. I want the thunder to be louder, but I want the rain to be a little quieter.
Well, that's very
you can
cool.
adjust those things. And then even if you don't want to manually adjust it, you can turn on a randomizer, and it will adjust the levels of everything randomly, either fast or slowly. And it continuously loops seamlessly. So it never sounds like super repetitive.
That is really cool.
And it's super, super awesome. And if you pay and you get the multi-generator feature, you can create your own soundscapes. Maybe you want medieval village sounds, a thunderscape, rain, and a river sound all at the same time. You can load those all into one player, adjust all the levels of everything, and then have it sound like a fully realized city that you're in. I honestly cannot recommend this enough for playing at a tabletop. The only reason I've never brought it up to you guys is because I know that there's licensing fees associated with it, and I don't know how much it costs to, like, maybe I should just email and be like, hey, how much do I have to pay you to use this on a live stream? Because, like, Tailspire has built-in sounds, but most of them you can very clearly tell where the seam is. Like,
does it have Discord integration?
I don't know if it has Discord integration. I believe there are Discord bots you can get that will pass your desktop audio to your
but not something that they put out.
No. This is just a guy that goes around and records stuff and puts it on the website. But there is everything from you know what? I'll pull up the website right now. I have the app on my iPad.
While you're doing that, we can talk quickly about ways, if you're playing online tools to communicate, such as a Discord.
Yeah, we'll loop back around to My Noise real quick, but, like, yes, if you're gonna play online, Discord. It has good quality video calling, servers you can manage. You can put campaign stuff in the chat channel, so you can. It obviously. I'm sure that if you're even on the internet, you know what Discord is. I feel like it is
Discord
ubiquitous.
just feels like, I mean, it's so perfect for online D&D campaigns. It's
perfect
like it does
for
all the stuff you want it to do. It's like,
yeah.
Like when you're talking about just doing video meetings, like, oh, you could use Skype. I don't like Skype because of lots of reasons, but it's mostly just because it doesn't work as well as I want it to.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have any kind of text-based like channels or anything. Discord is your message board and video call and audio call center all in one.
Yeah,
and it's
text,
works
images
really well for online D&D.
You can turn the audio quality up pretty high. You can have different chat channels for different things. You can have hidden chat channels that only certain people can see for, like, specific character stuff. We're using Discord right now to record this podcast, and I turned the audio quality all the way up so it sounds really good. I found a bot online that just joined. Craig bot just joins. He hops in here. He records it. I hit stop. He sends me a file. It's amazing. You can do so much stuff with Discord for free. Alternatives, I think the really only alternative left that's still kicking is TeamSpeak, but they don't have video calling, I don't think,
you can use
or anything.
Zoom. It's not really great for.
Yeah, if you're gonna,
it's not as good as Discord for D&D.
If you're gonna play online, Discord.
There is still, you can, if you're using Roll20, it does have its own built-in systems for using your camera and mic, but it's
never used
not as good.
Terrible.
Okay, I've never used it.
Yeah, because even when we were playing Roll20, we're like, we'll just use Discord.
So yeah, I'm sure you know what Discord is, but it is pretty incredible the amount of bots and stuff you can find to, like, do different things. But anyways, mynoise.net. So let's see. Irish Coast cafes. Not that would come up too much in D&D. Waterfalls. Gregorian chant. A Japanese garden. Automatic piano generator. There's even fantasy specific ones. Primeval forests. Let's see. Distant thunder. Thunderstorms. A beach. Summer nights. Rivers, singing bowls, Tibetan temples, medieval village. I talked about that one. There's one called RPG Dungeon, which is like dripping sounds and cave sounds and stuff like that. There is just so many amazing. There's even sci-fi ones that make little, like, ambient beeps and boops for if you're running a sci-fi campaign. It is one of the most powerful noise generating tools available.
Sounds pretty cool.
If you don't want to use the web interface, you can also pay to download albums of the things. But I highly recommend looking into it. I haven't done. I usually donate once a year to it, but I probably need to look at his Patreon and see if he has like a tier for allowing us to use it. But look at this. You can get the audio albums on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, and Google Play. So I mean, like video tutorials on how to use it. There's like no reason not to use this site. It's freaking amazing. It's updated pretty regularly with new soundscapes. Honestly, like I think you should take a look at this, Isaac. I'm going to look in to see if we can use it on the campaign, actually, now that we're talking about it so much. Now that I'm talking about it so much.
Yeah, see, we can find out. The only problem is it might be a bit taxing on my not so great internet.
But you could just tell me and I could pass it through, right? Because I have fast internet.
In theory. But then I don't know how. Maybe we'll look into it. I only wanted to touch on a couple more things, and that one of them being online resource for miniatures, which is the one I was going to talk about is Hero Forge, which is integrated with
Tailspire. Yep, we talked about that a little bit.
You can make your own, like if you're going to make a new character for a campaign, you can make it how you want to look. Hero Forge is pretty great about that as far as PCs go. Not so great with monsters. That's where Hero Forge falls short.
It's called Hero Forge, not Monster Forge. Jeez.
Well, there's another one called titancraft.com, which is awesome for monsters. But these are for like if you're going to basically have them printed out and you're going to use them in person. Hero Forge, you can do that, but the reason we use Hero Forge is because it's integration with Tailspire, which means you can just have a digital copy and you can put it into Tailspire and you can use the character that you want, so you can make it how you want to look. They do have a lot of options. They add stuff, I think, every Tuesday or every Thursday.
That's pretty sweet.
So I go through there and there's things that I have in my head still are not, you're not going to find anything there, but it's pretty good.
I know we haven't really, there are ways to modify like 3D models into Tailspire on your own. That's going to take a lot of effort. And I guess since we're talking about miniatures and models, I know this is supposed to be online sources, but if you do have a 3D printer or you're thinking about getting into 3D printing, you're probably not going to be a 3D modeler. And there are really awesome resources like myminifactory.com, which you do have to pay for some of the things just because the artist wants to get paid. But there are, frankly, unbelievably good looking miniatures. If you want to do Dwarven Forge stuff, you can print basically those things online. Now, there is still like a painting factor to these kind of things, but if you're into that kind of thing, if you want cool tabletop stuff for your in-person play and you're thinking about getting into 3D printing, it is amazing the wealth of content that is available now. I remember when 3D printing first started kind of like hitting the consumer market, there really wasn't a lot as far as minis go, but honestly, you could deck a table out for, I'm not going to say cheap because a 3D printer is expensive, and if you're doing SLA, the resin's kind of expensive. And if you're doing filament printing, it's usually not detailed enough for miniatures, other than like buildings and stuff like that. But the amount of stuff available is incredible. Monsters, there's guys who make every monster in the monster manual is available for download and print. And I'm sure there is a way to like move those models into Tailspire. I just haven't looked into it a ton. I know you can. I haven't personally looked into it a lot.
Only other thing I wanted to talk about was if you guys have any Reddit subs that you frequent for D&D things.
r/DnD, the official one, not official, but you know what I mean. The biggest one. Yeah. I mean, that's the only one I ever look at. I'm sure I haven't looked, but let's cruise on over to Reddit real quick.
The one that I end up going to a lot is, and I don't start there. I'm usually, if I'm looking for some sort of plot hook or encounter idea or like cool monster mechanic or something, I usually end up at r/DnD behind the screen. Is pretty
behind the screen.
Good. Yeah, DnD behind the screen.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to check that out actually sometime. I really like looking at some of these things, but Yeah, Reddit is a great resource. Reddit is like the modern version, the more modern version of something like Giant in the Playground, which is the one I talked about earlier.
All right.
Giant in the Playground is very old.
I honestly don't get on Reddit. So
I'll send, and I obviously can't put these links in the regular podcast form of this, but on the YouTube channel, I will try to I will put links to everything we've talked about in the description, so that if there's any tools you're interested in and you are feeling too lazy to type in Don John on Google, you can find it in the YouTube description. So I think we're kind of coming up on the end here. Is there anything else?
That's all I wanted to touch on.
Okay.
I think we got everything.
I hit everything I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, definitely hit everything.
I just wanted to get in that RPG bot.
I'm so glad you brought that up. I can't believe I didn't write that one down. Yeah, RPG bot. Freaking fantastic. Anyways, thanks for listening again. I don't know if it'll be next week, but we are going to do a couple episodes about Spelljammer, the newly released content. So look forward to that. And thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.